time I hear you whisper to me that you never would leave me be. I can feel my body echoing for you now.
Do you know what you do to me? It's like a fantasy, I wanna never leave. But isn't it a little funny that you're the one controlling me?
Okay. Let's see, we left off at my favorite part. This chick. Get myself ready. Do I have a tissue? Oh no. I don't have one. Oh no. Let's hit it. I opened my eyes, see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but my hand quickly covered my mouth. But a hand, not my hand.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
What do you mean by too early? I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move or fight her off. What was going on and why was she here?
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
I have very pretty eyes and very long hair. Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known as she let out another smirk on her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. Diana! I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement. Who the hell are you and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh and make the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana? Demon? You're a demon?
I am, but I'm much more than just an average demon.
What do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
Of course you are. I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? From incubi, now a succubus? Great! I now meant both genders of sex demons. Diana crossed her arms under her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty.
Don't give me that face.
A goody little two-shoes, aren't you?
You're a slut, aren't you? Oh, she is a sex demon. I moved out and stood from my bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Oh, I just wanted to see who my competition was.
Competition?
For the boys, of course. They don't belong here, and yet here they remain. I want to know why, and remedy this little issue.
The girl was seriously pissing me off. Issue? What issue? They want to stay here so they can.
Silly, uneducated human. You don't understand the important roles these boys play in the abyssal planes. You keeping them here is practically imprisonment.
You have about 10 seconds to leave before I kick your demon butt.
Is that a threat? How cute. What are you going to do? Kill me?
And if I do?
You barely have the strength to stand, little human. I can rip the rest of your energy out and knock you into a coma. You'll never be able to wake up again.
Touch me, Al!
Enjoy every minute of it.
I felt my body freeze and heat up, almost in a painful haze. My mind began to feel fuzzy as Diana stepped to me and caressed my cheek.
Now, you're going to listen to everything I say without any questions. Got it?
I nodded.
Good. I plan to bring the boys back to the abyssal planes. Why? So that I can take my place as queen of their realm. They have no reason to be here in this silly little world, so I'm going to make sure they return home. Okay, Pumpkin?
Pumpkin. I'm sorry, I don't like you. I nodded and growled. My rage can be concealed, despite the hold I was under. You evil bitch.
Call me evil all you want, dearie. I'm not evil. You're just in my way.
I felt Diana lean into my ear and whisper, making me unconsciously shiver in both pleasure and annoyance.
Now, be a good little human and go to bed. I'll make sure they're gone before you get home tomorrow from school, so make sure to say goodbye in the morning.
I felt my body move on its own to lay in bed. It covered itself with my bedsheets. I glared at Diana the entire way down. Diana laughed at my futility. I'll get you!
Oh, please do.
All of a sudden her voice deepened and became cold and demonic, sending a violent scared shiver down my spine. Her red eyes practically illuminated the darkness of my room as she glared at me.
Give me a reason to make your life a living hell.
I gritted my teeth, trying to fight back against the hold on me. She couldn't have been that tough. She needed energy to survive, right? I was sure that she couldn't have enough to hold me down forever. And Dana then laughed and returned to normal.
Oh, and make sure you don't tell the boys I was here. I want my visit to be a surprise.
I felt the hold on me disappear, allowing me to sit up and practically growl at Diana in rage. What's stopping me?
You must not care about your friends and family as much as you care for the boys.
I stopped and stared. What did she mean by that? Oh. Was that a threat to my family? Diana smirked at me, knowing the confusion behind my eyes.
Let's just say that if you tell the boys about me, I'll make sure that no one will care for you, and you'll be all alone in this little house until the day you die.
I could feel fear creeping into me. Alone? How could she do that? The word demon reverberated in my head, reminding me that I was facing off against something supernatural. A human with a shield versus a demon was one thing. A human on her own versus a demon was another.
Have a good night.
I meant to say devil. Bye. And with that, Diana sank into the floor through the magic purple pentagram, which disappeared as her head vanished into the floor. I couldn't believe it. I had one problem, and now I had another. Instead of a crazy psycho devil who wanted to kill me and the boys, I had a succubus wanting to ruin my life and take the boys away. Could my life get any worse? No, I wasn't going to let her win. She's not as powerful as she looks, I know it. I had to mentally confirm it. She wasn't going to win. The boys wanted to stay with me. It's going to turn into a cat bite. I let out a sigh before closing my eyes, affirming my plan of action. No matter what she was going to do, I was going to beat her. Eventually, the morning arrived and the sun screamed at me to get up. Surprisingly, I woke up before my alarm once again, which was nice. I stretched out and quickly got dressed, getting ready for school. She expects me to say goodbye to the boys. I will say good morning and we'll see them when I come back. No, I am going to say goodbye. Time to yell at Damien more. Okay, maybe that wasn't the smart move to put my microphone there right in front of the screen where I have to read. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room, seeing the boys already eating a delicious selection of food. The smell made my stomach growl wildly at the sight of food, drew me to walk further into the room.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Well... Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his eyebrows and stopped eating. Don't you dare.
She's here.
You ever just... stop that? The boys looked at Damien in confusion while I cursed his ability silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Kinda. Damien looked at me, wanting me to explain for him. However, the threats that Diana gave me last night warned me to keep my mouth shut. And do the same as I did last time, avoid it. Damien just looks, you're gonna make me do it. I shook my head at Damien, not wanting to talk about it. Damien's... The hell is all this noise in the background? Where's the dog? Come here. I shook my head at Damien, not wanting to talk about it. Damien sighed and looked at James. James tilted his head and furrowed his brow at Damien before looking at me.
Does anyone else live in this house?
Go away. Go away. Nope, just us.
Then who is Diana?
Would you like to meet the door, Damien? My heart stopped. Damien was still able to read my mind. I couldn't help but glare at him, but he continued to press hard. A hard, tell-the-truth gaze at me. I sighed. Damien was going to press the issue. I had no choice but to speak. A girl named Diana came by last night.
Diana? Is she important?
Did she try to hurt you?
Well, she's a succubus. A single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked to each boy, unsure of what was going through their mind. Should I avoid it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien! I love it when the character agrees with me. She said that if I told you she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not a devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
What do you mean?
Well, she sort of has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs. She's not a real threat.
I love you.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where the voice came from. I felt a cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering what kind of power she had. Everybody scoot over! Diana's here! At last we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple in her hand as she leaned against the archway. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at an intruder.
So, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Hold on, I gotta pop up my computer. Go away, please. Thank you. Mouse. Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys sit up close to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
I almost wasn't! Right, Sam? My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she? No, just shush. Diana chuckled and smirked at me, knowing that I wanted to hit her, but had to control myself.
Such control you have, human. You know your place very well.
You're a pacifist, damn it! I didn't control the growl that escaped my throat. However...
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
I expected the boys to say no. What here was complete silence. No, the boys replied Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. Diana leaned her head back a bit, surprised at a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw the disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. Blech. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on Sam! He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger to her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked at me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted me to do something, but the boys would stop her. So the stare was her only available action. After a small moment of silence, Diana licked her lips before breaking the gaze battle and smiling to the boys around me.
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
But her leave? Was she serious? The boys around me straightened up and grew confused, looks on their faces, as Diana stepped back and away from us with a small bow, flaunting her cleavage. Bye! Without another word, a deep purple pentagram appeared under her feet, and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. I had a hiccup, sorry. At once the boys relaxed and slowly began to return to their spots at the table, each in deep thought.
She'll be back, but she won't kill us. She needs us alive.
Whatever. We'll just keep saying no. She can't force us to come back.
She can't do anything but annoy us. Eventually she'll give up.
That's the hope, anyway.
Hopefully. And Damien had nothing to say about that. Sam walked over to me and placed a hand on my shoulder, looking at me with concern.
If she comes after you, you need to tell us, okay?
Yes, sir. I nodded, knowing that he wanted to protect me. Sam gently took his hand from my shoulder and very gently moved a strand of hair out of my face, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered through the air, making me blush even more as Sam grunted in reply, and the laughter stopped. You're all such boys! 12-year-olds. I looked up to see he was glaring at his brothers. a fist forming in his hair, ready to swing at one of them. He and I pulled away from each other at just the sound when Naomi's car appeared. The sound appeared, okay. I quickly ate my food, waved to the boys, and left, confident that nothing was going to happen. Never, ever say that nothing will happen before the day is over. I avoided talking about the ride back home yesterday, saying the ride was a one-time thing. I'll be riding with you guys from now on, in school and stuff. The girls seemed very happy. We entered the school, quickly gathered our things from our lockers, and headed to the class. There were no events to our surprise. History wasn't exactly fun, but our teacher was great. At least he would have been great if he was in class today. Naomi and Suzu took their seats around me. Suzu in front of me, Naomi beside me, before the class bell rang and the class was greeted by the dean.
Students, you'll be having a substitute for class today. Everyone meet
Miss Diana.
My heart stopped. At the door with the dean was Diana, looking over the students and smirking as her eyes landed on me. She strutted to the teacher's desk, ignoring or welcoming the whispers from the other students before sitting on the wood and crossing her legs.
Thank you, Dean. You can go now.
With a wave of Diana's hand, the dean left the classroom, closed the door, and left the area. Diana smiled at us, making my stomach turn. What was she going to do?
So, history. History. Such a silly thing, isn't it? I mean, what do we care about the past? We're in the present.
The rest of the class, including Naomi and Suzu, hesitantly nodded in agreement, unsure about this new teacher, but willing to listen to more of what she had to say.
The present is so full of wonderful things. While the labors of the past are the reason we have many things, it is our chance and privilege to utilize what has been given to us.
Her charm was almost infectious. The class was practically starting to eat out of her hand. I looked around to see classmates grinning and agreeing with Diana. I pressed my lips together as I listened further. I had no choice.
What's even funnier about human beings is that some of the bits of history we hear as either made up or completely biased to one side. It's like a story you read as a child. You hear of the princess and the prince, and they live happily ever after. But what about the family she left behind? What of her friends?
The students listened and agreed intently to her words. I could tell, however, that these words were all targeted at me.
The original story of the Little Mermaid, a perfect example of biased opinion. Here we have a girl who thinks she can be with this prince, but this prince has to marry a princess. What would happen if the mermaid had her way? What makes the mermaid so important that the princess has to suffer the consequences?
I'm actually going to speak out this time. The rest of the class turned their heads to me. Naomi and Suzu looked at me with equally surprised looks, kept my eyes to Diana. If I was a mermaid, I wasn't going to let the princess take the prince away. Good gosh. Diana stared at me before smiling and turned her body to fully face me.
Oh? And why does it not matter?
The story isn't about the prince, the story is about the mermaid and the prince.
But that is exactly my point. While the story talks about the mermaid and the prince's romance, we don't see the problems of the kingdom the prince rules. While we are all fixated with this love story, we ignore the fact the kingdom would fall apart without the marriage between the prince and princess.
She kept her eyes to me as she spoke. I knew she wanted to make her words stick in my mind, but I didn't listen. It was one thing to be a fictional story, it was another to try to ruin someone's life for selflessness. Diana chuckled and looked back to the class.
Luckily in the real story of the Little Mermaid, the mermaid knows that what she was doing was wrong, and she threw herself into the ocean, turning into sea foam.
Some of the students that surrounded me mumbled in surprise, obviously not knowing the real story. However, Diana was wrong once again. Once again, the class looked at me and Diana faced me with another smile.
Not true. How so?
Trade-off for becoming human was marrying the prince or turning into sea foam. However, she was also given the choice to kill the prince and turn back into a mermaid. The mermaid didn't because she loved him and sacrificed herself for that love. That is a story worth telling, not some princess getting her way, but of a tragedy that had befallen on a girl who only wanted love. The class applauded me with Suzu giving her usual punch in the shoulder, Naomi smiling at my logic. Diana, however, finally grew an almost angered face at me.
Interesting. So what you are saying is that the princess should be given no mind.
Story's not about the princess, story's about the mermaid, and the mermaid should have gotten her prince.
Even at the risk of a kingdom falling apart?
Even if the entire world fell apart around them, duty does not overrule love, and the princess needs to realize this. The applause that followed that intensified with whoops and hollers. Jeez. I felt a wave of confidence roll through my body. Diana wasn't going to win, wasn't going to let her. Diana then stopped talking and looked at the clock on the wall, reading it quickly. The class had barely begun. Why was she looking at the time? Diana then leaned against the blackboard and smiled to us. I became worried.
You know what? School isn't important. Everyone, go ahead and head home. Take the week off.
Woo! The students suddenly began to chat happily or in confusion of the situation. Many thought it was a dream come true, others knew better. Before anyone could protest, however, Diana pressed a finger to her lips and counted down with her fingers in the air. 3, 2, 1. The speakers of the classroom gently awoke, giving us an announcement we would never believe.
Attention students. Due to an emergency faculty meeting, we will be closing school for the remainder of the day and this entire week. Please leave the school quickly and quietly and have a good rest of the week.
She used her powers on them. Damn it! Damn you and letting us out early! I felt the need to stop her, but how could I stop a demon in the middle of a public area? Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Many of the students filed out, chatting to each other about new impromptu plans. Susan was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. However, we could pack up and leave. However, Diana stepped to us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
As Diana looked at Susan and Naomi, she snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her, because she's just fine.
As if on command, Susan and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed her, there would be hell to pay. I had lost my two friends, at least for a week, and Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana. What are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
Whatever you're trying to do, it won't work.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
What was making me so sure? Why was I confident? Were the boys worth this? My thoughts began to fill with doubt. All of the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. If the boys were ever found out, there'd be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? Would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives with spite? In my gut, I felt a stone of confidence try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve that stone little by little. What was going on with me? I looked at Diana once again to see her gaze, boring into my eyes. She was using her power on me. This time I was away from home, so I couldn't escape. Or could I? Did I want to? The way she stared at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. It felt like melting. It's weird. Diana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lips, licking her own. I could feel the shots of energy zipping from under my skin into my chin where she held it.
Now, let's have a little taste of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
I watched she leaned in ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt elation of the idea. The other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me. Sam, you! Sam! Suddenly Diana stopped in her tracks.
Sam, who is...
Then it dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is Sam?
Felt myself nod in compliance. The third. Okay, so Sam's the third oldest. Alright. Sorry, I had to stretch. Holy crap. Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The brute? With you?
Shut up! I nodded once again, but this time it was partially my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
Alright then. Well, if it's the brute you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost make me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sat down on the wood, crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
How am I supposed to get home? My 2 friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride? My apologies. Let me help then.
Diana then lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. Suddenly I felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down. A purple pentagram surrounded my feet, pulling me into the ground. Holy butts! Whee! Before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, falling into darkness, shutting my eyes. As I opened them, I felt the silk sheets around me, shooting my anxiety from the darkness that had previously surrounded me. What? Why did Diana bring me home? Was this an illusion? Was I being tricked? Something was going on. I sat up in bed looking around me. I was indeed in my room. There was no mistake about that. Why? Diana's too strange. Was this a game? Was this part of her plan to get the boys back? I was lost and confused more than ever. Spent my logical thought trying to piece the puzzle that is Diana together. The more I tried to solve her, the less I understood about the situation I was in. I was interrupted, however, by my door suddenly opening, revealing the boys with Damien's hand over the doorknob.
Miss, what are you doing here?
I'm skipping school! I'm a rebel now. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. My voice can't take any more of this. I'll see you guys next.